Okay, everyone. Happy Labor Day. Welcome to our monthly all hands. It's September, in case you're not following what's going on out there. Uh, as always, we record these meetings. So this will be on YouTube, as is last month's meeting, and the typical privacy disclaimer. Um, if you don't want to be on that video, feel free to participate in the chat. Feel free to ask questions. You don't necessarily need to come on camera or give your name. And then we will end the recording at a certain point, and you can just participate a little bit more naturally. But please subscribe to our YouTube. There's lots of great content there, as is the case on all of our social media accounts. Um, for folks who may be new, Whole Washington is a 501c4 political nonprofit, the largest universal healthcare group in Washington, the authors of a proposal called the Washington Health Trust, which is currently the only universal healthcare bill in the legislature. And we are also the only group that is actively building an initiative campaign. And we're members of a larger coalition called Healthcare is a Human Right Washington. And folks are encouraged to get active with that coalition as well, and there are opportunities to do so. Um, I'm Andre Stackhouse. I'm the executive director. I live in Seattle, and you're always encouraged to get in touch with me, whether that's through email or through setting up a meeting with me using my booking link. Happy to get in touch, see what you're up to, provide support. So I'd love to do that. Some stuff coming up this month. We have um, we had really quite a interesting August. We'll go through some of that, and September is still kind of coming together. But right off the bat, we have what's going to be called a Universal Healthcare Stakeholder Meeting. This is not as open to the public as some of the other meetings that we've done, but it's kind of a continuation of the legislative and commission advocacy that we've been doing. So there should be some really interesting stuff to discuss with that. Um, we also have a newly forming Accessibility and Disability Committee, and they're having their first meeting on the 10th. That is not yet on the calendar, so keep your eye on the calendar on Slack, and hopefully, if you're interested in joining that, we'll be able to make it easy enough very soon. Uh, we've got community events, including the Vancouver Peace and Justice Fair, where we'll be tabling. So if you're interested in attending that, you should be able to get the details on the events calendar. Another newly forming team, Legislative and Commission Advocacy Team, had its first meeting about a week ago, and another one coming up on the 16th. And there's going to be some very interesting work done through this team that we'll talk about. We also have our next fundraiser that we've held really since the gala, and it's going to be a benefit concert in Arlington. And you can see the poster is that image in the upper right. So that'll be an opportunity if you want to get out there. And I'm sure there are still opportunities to help support that event as either a coordinator for the event ahead of time or a day of help. But that's something that's coming up this month. And then more community events, the Spokane Valley Fest on the 20th and 21st. Again, details on the calendar. So um, try to find something that you are excited about. There's lots that's going on, and we're hoping that there'll be even more coming up on the calendar that you may not even see there yet. Some quick updates from the board of directors. The next meeting, as always, is the third Thursday of the month from noon to 2. That means that this month it's on September 18th. Those are open to the public, so you can go to the calendar and drop in on the next board meeting. Great opportunity if you're interested in sort of the high-level decision making, the strategic thinking of Whole Washington. And there's lots of ways to support the board as well. And the board continues to grow and recruit new members. So I don't have a formal introduction slide for her, but we have a new advisory member named Mahathi. She can't attend tonight, so I figure we'll save an introduction for a day where she can be here. But you might have seen her around. She's been very active. And she was added as an advisory member at the last board meeting. And while we're taking a sort of slow and deliberative transition on this, she's currently on track to be our next treasurer. So that's very exciting because we basically have two new people. You were all introduced to Jessa last month, and so that means that the roles we've been trying to fill for a good while, treasurer and secretary, have people that are on track to take those positions, and then we'll have a all of the positions on the board filled, which will be great. And so we continue to recruit advisory members to help us build capacity for the board, to help us represent a broader swath of Washington state geographically in terms of its communities, and in terms of the connections that they may have and bring into whole Washington. But two positions that we may be interested in bringing people into, if you're interested in providing support beyond just representation, would be an assistant treasurer and assistant secretary. And that's because they're both significant jobs, and the board of directors is entirely volunteer. And so some amount of duplication or redundancy, just so that people can provide support to one another, is a good idea. And so we're very much looking forward to having a new treasurer and a new secretary soon. But life is chaotic. People move on, and also people get busy. So, assistant treasurer and assistant secretary will help us maintain steady progress on all of our goals and a stable board of directors, even if some of the individual members may at times become less available. And so you can see this on wholewashington.org/jobs. There are ways to apply and show your interest in these things, and we are happy to talk with people who are interested in that stuff to figure out how best they can support whole Washington. Um, a small update on our 501c3 status. We've been talking about this all year. We are very, very close to having 501c3 status and being able to take tax deductible donations and do other things that charitable nonprofits do. But at the last board meeting, we got a sync with our fiscal host, Sustainable Seattle, and they are just working to be extra judicious on all of the details and putting it through an additional layer of legal review. Um, and so, very, very hopeful that by this time next month, we'll be talking about how we officially have a 501c3. But for now, we're still waiting on that. Um, quick update on our fundraising. So, I think the bottom line is that we are pretty much where we've been since the gala. You can see that we've had a slight uptick in individual donations, average donation size remaining about the same. Slightly more, about $100 more raised this month than last month, but um, a slight bump in one-time donations and a slight drop in recurring donations. So nothing too crazy to report here. As a reminder, we are recruiting fundraising leads and coordinators and trying to build a stronger fundraising team. And so this is one area where we are still in need of significant growth. We've been working to build a bunch of new teams and bring in a bunch of new leaders, and we've seen that across a number of the teams at Whole Washington, but fundraising is one area where we haven't quite seen that. So we will be directing some of our coordination work towards this, but also if this is something you're interested in or know somebody who may be interested, please encourage them to get in touch and to take some initiative, and that will help us move even faster on this. So again, in terms of things that we hope to have slightly more promising updates on by next month's meeting, we're hoping that we can maybe see a larger fundraising team, some new fundraising initiatives, and it takes some time, but some slight bumps on these numbers. And really, when it comes to a lot of the updates from here to the end of the year, one of the themes will be that we're doing what we can for the rest of the year, but really what we're trying to do is set ourselves up for a much more successful 2026. And that's where we'll see the really, really encouraging year-over-year growth. 2025
Hmm.
was a huge year of growth for us already. And if we can grow from there in 2026, then we'll know that we're on a good track. So it's not always reflected each month, but in the longer time scale, we hope to see that. We do have some exciting endorsements. So this is a business endorsement. And just as a side note, we do take endorsements from all kinds of organizations, including businesses. And businesses are maybe one area where we could use quite a few more endorsements and have some more outreach. But this comes from Allie's Vegan Pizzeria and Cafe in Spokane. Um, so that's fantastic. Our Spokane team solicited this endorsement themselves on paper. And so that's another way that may be easier to get some endorsements is instead of directing them to a web page and asking them to do something on a computer or phone, we can bring endorsement forms straight to a business and answer all their questions right there, get that endorsement, and that's how this one came to be. They say we at Allies fully support universal health care and whole Washington's effort to bring it to our state. We are committed to the well-being of our community as a whole and appreciate opportunities to give back how we can. So that is a lovely endorsement from a local business in Spokane. Very, very grateful to have them um, as a part of the movement. And we have another very exciting endorsement. So this comes from a candidate. So that's Katie Wilson, currently running for Seattle mayor. She, in fact, was the #1 out of the primary. So she is very likely to be the next mayor of Seattle. Now, of course, we can't say. Um, but so far, her support has been quite a bit higher than what we have gotten from the incumbent, Bruce Harrell. Bruce has not endorsed Whole Washington. We've never had a conversation with Bruce Harrell. So if Katie wins, it will be the first time that an elected mayor, as far as I know, and certainly the first time a Seattle mayor will be an endorser of Whole Washington. Um, and Katie is a very well-known organizer in Seattle. She's the founder and executive director of the Transit Riders Union, which is a very, very impressive activist organization that is democratic and member governed. And they do a lot of work, not just within transit advocacy, but across housing and minimum wage and a number of other really great issues. So um, this is a very exciting endorsement. The other thing that's very exciting about Katie is she is somebody who has taken the patients over profits pledge, which means that she has pledged to take no money from the private insurance industry, the pharmaceutical industry. And that means that she's openly acknowledging the role of money in politics and building a relationship of public trust with whole Washington and the community. So that means that we are very, very excited. And she says, I support whole Washington and universal health care because everyone deserves to have the care they need and to lead a healthy, dignified life, no matter what their background is or what's in their bank account. People over profit. We are going to be sending a press release out tomorrow on this. So fingers crossed, we may be able to generate a little bit of press. Katie Wilson's campaign is kind of the talk of the town in Seattle media at the moment. And so um, we are hoping to get this press release out, and we are even discussing potentially working with the Wilson campaign on another press release. So we will just have to see, but it's a promising start, and we are hoping that we can deepen the collaboration with Katie Wilson as well as her broader political coalition and the connections that she has. Data team, I don't think that we have Lindsay here, but I believe that Thomas has some data team updates.
Yes. So I pulled our data on our platforms. Facebook has had a really good stretch and is now comfortably over 10,000 followers. Instagram has had a huge increase. This is like a 6% over the last month increase, and that's largely because Michael Potter has taken it over and is providing a lot of good content there. Threads, I don't know what Jen was doing around the 23rd and 24th, but she did work there and we got a whole bunch of extra followers. So she also has seen huge increases. Down on Blue Sky, we've had a little more activity there and have had some growth with followers as well. And then to our video platform. So we have YouTube and TikTok. YouTube and TikTok both had huge, huge bumps on July 4th. Uh, Thanks to our president. And then since then, we've seen small sustained growth. TikTok's been largely muted because there's some reason that we are shadow banned on TikTok constantly, and I think it has to do with the fact that we do healthcare content and get flagged as misinformation. So, uh, with that, I guess I can give it back to Andre.
Thank you. And so Rhonda's not here to give us a comms team update today. It's her daughter's birthday, and some of the updates are just around these press releases that I've been mentioning. So the one going out tomorrow with the Wilson campaign, as well as one about the Advocates Roundtable that was held last month. That'll get mentioned in a moment. And yes, that's right. I didn't put slides on this because it was going to be a little bit difficult. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to do a quick share of my entire screen instead of just the slide deck and show you some of the latest updates to the website that hopefully are very helpful to everyone out there doing work and seeking information. So um, the comms team has been doing a lot of review of the website, and you've seen some of these updates coming in month over month. So we redid the homepage slider. We've reworked this opening text to be quite a bit shorter. We redid these images. And for right now, the homepage has been pretty stable. Not a lot of changes in the last month. The more significant changes have come on the pages, starting with what's at top. So I believe we showed previously the Take Action page where we've added these more aesthetic boxes on the most important um, actions that we're encouraging people to do. But you'll start to see a standardized pattern where we have a sort of hero image at the top with some text that frames it. So a universal hit campaign for universal healthcare, really trying to emphasize that this is a campaign that anyone can be a part of. Um, if we go over to campaigns, and this is where a lot of the newer content is, you see
Hmm.
this image from an action we did in DC years ago. Um, and you see now we have these different sections broken out for our legislature, the commission, the ballot initiative, and Congress. So a lot of this content has just been sort of slightly edited or reworded, but each of these pages also has been reworked as well. So we'll go a little bit deeper, and I won't necessarily show all of these, but a lot of these pages are just now looking quite a bit nicer. So this is the page on the policy itself. So universal health care is sensible public policy with these call outs for how it's funded, what's covered, public opinion polling, the studies, as well as a section on the history that we haven't had before. Um, but I really think that most of the most useful changes come under this campaign section. So you'll see that if you go to the state legislature page, um, we have some highlights for our primary sponsors, Senator Hasagawa and Representative Parsley. We also have a legislative tracker now, so you can see who all of the co-sponsors are, as well as of today, critical committee appointments, including healthcare committees, appropriation or financial committees, and rules committees. Those are basically the three that our bills would have to get through. So you can see who has the committee appointments, who's co-sponsored the Washington Health Trust, as well as a column for patients over profits, which right now the only person to have taken that pledge at the state level is Daria Farivar, who I'm proud to say is my own representative. Um, so you see that on the state legislature page as well as calls to action. So we hope that this makes it easier for people trying to figure out how to advocate for the bill to get the information they need. It also says, the legislature is adjourned until January 12th, 2026. So we're in the interim until next year. And hopefully this page will remain up to date with the latest actions and information. Um, the ballot initiative page has mostly just been cleaned up a bit, so there's nothing too new here in terms of information. But we are emphasizing that pledge to sign is kind of the main action associated with building the initiative campaign. Um, the commission page has been reworked, and because especially the Universal Healthcare Commission's own website is a little bit hard to find and navigate, we've added direct links to things like the website, the member roster, their reports, their meeting schedule, and provided instructions on how you leave written comments or sign up to testify. And that's an opportunity available every month. So hopefully this makes it easier for folks to engage with the commission. Rally continues to be our sort of commission lead, and so he can provide support on how to get involved with that. We also have a new page for Congress. we don't emphasize Congress at much at Whole Washington just because our focus tends to be more on the state legislature. But, this shows that it's our own Pramila Jayapal who's really leading Medicare for All at the Congress level. And so this helps us build that connection between the work we do at state level and the work that's happening federally. There are two bills that we track, Medicare for All, as well as the State-Based Universal Health Care Act. And we also have a tracker for the congressional delegation with similar information as the state one, as well as calling out some support for our national partner, One Payer States. We've talked about One Payer States, but they're working to support campaigns like Whole Washington, and kind of create a 50-state movement for universal health care. And we did present to them in August, and at the last meeting, we were saying that the video was coming soon, but now we can proudly say that the video is finally up on our YouTube. So if you want to see that presentation that we gave last month, go to our YouTube to check it out, and you can learn more about One Payer States and how Whole Washington is working to collaborate with them. The rest of we also have this page for businesses. We had a business one pager that was going out to this page, but this really collects together the information that's most relevant to businesses. So if you're out there doing business outreach, there's QR codes on the business flyer that lead to this, and now you can direct them to wholewashington.org/business, and get their questions answered and have a page targeted specifically towards them. The rest of these link out to other campaigns that are really organized through other organizations, and you may have heard us mention these before, or you may not have, and I'm just going to briefly mention them here, but they may be a larger theme in 2026, and they may also be getting their own pages, but since they're not ready yet, I just linked to the pages for their organizations. But the Labor Campaign for Single Payer builds support for organized labor and universal health care, and as we continue to deepen the labor movement for universal health care in Washington, our collaboration with Labor Campaign for Single Payer will increase. The Patients Over Profits Pledge we've talked about before, and this is something that anyone can take, running for any office or elected to any office, whether they're in Washington, whether it's local, state, or federal. And so, again, it's a clean money pledge, and we want to increasingly have this be a normal pledge for politicians to be asked, a normal pledge for them to take, and really, we want to see way more of the elected people in Washington having taken this pledge, just like Katie Wilson and some of our supporters out there. The last one is Medicare for All resolutions, and this gives us an action to do at the local and county level. And so while we are not pursuing legislation currently at the local or county level, we do work to pass resolutions, and we are partnered with Public Citizen, who runs this Medicare for All resolutions campaign. We've passed these resolutions in Seattle, Bothell, Aberdeen, and really, we would love to pass these in way more cities. So if your local team is looking for things to do, if they're not quite ready to take on something big like a congressional seat, we can start with local city council resolutions, and that can be a great way to build a foundation geographically for universal health care. So those are the main updates to the website. I think there's also been some pretty decent updates to the About page, so you might check that one out as well. And you see that we are calling out our coalition, Healthcare as a Human Right Washington, as well. So continue to go to the website and look for new updates. We're always trying to improve it, and we also are always looking for feedback. If there's something you have difficulty finding or information that you think should be on the website that's not currently there, bring it to comms, bring it to the website team, and we'll work to improve the website further. So jumping back in to the slide deck, I think Thomas is going to come back on and give us a few more social media updates.
Yeah, social media team is still recruiting. We're always looking for more Reddit support. So if you use a local subreddit at all, we'd love to have you on board. Just somebody to upvote whatever we do is also fine. We need a TikTok lead. I hate TikTok and I'm the one running it. So I would love somebody who likes it to take it over. And then lastly, we need a Twitter lead or an X lead. Since Andre stepped down from doing that, it's been pretty quiet. And follow us on social media. If you have not followed us on every social media, you can help boost our follower numbers, which would be great and help us algorithm.
Thank you, Thomas. Okay, let's get through the rest of these updates and then break off for discussion. So, the Universal Healthcare Commission continues to meet monthly. When I say that, it's the commission alternating with their advisory committee, the FTAC, Financial Technical Advisory Committee. Um, but there's always going to be a meeting of one of those committees this month and then another one next month. And so you can see the rest of the meetings for the year, September, October, maybe they're skipping November. Um, but these are the latest meetings. We do have the commission page now to help you stay on top of it. But I think the big update this month is the Advocates Roundtable. So this was held at the
Hmm.
beginning of August, and we had a good number of people go out to attend in person. We had two panelists ourselves, so that was myself and Annie from the advisory board. Um, and I think there's a lot to say about it. We've had some post-mortems on it, but uh, the bottom line is that it was very, very successful. We presented a very unified and professional front. We were joined by Healthcare for All Washington, the Healthcare is a Human Right Coalition, as well as a representative from uh, NOLA, which stands for North Health Law Advocates, I think. Hope I'm not dropping a letter there. Um, so it was a number of very well respected organizations that had representatives on this panel. I think we had a very tough but fair and collaborative dialogue with the commission. We often don't really get to dialogue with the commission at all, so it's maybe a first of its kind with a lot of back and forth, questions and answers. Um, and there was a number of things that came out of it, including an intention to continue this collaboration, to have another roundtable soon. They really called on us to help them educate the public and the legislature and build public support for the work that needs to come next. Um, and there's some very exciting updates with the commission. I don't know if these were shared at an all hands yet, but the surprise guest of the day was Senator Annette Cleveland, who folks may know as the representative of Legislative District 49, that's Vancouver, as well as the chair of the Senate Health and Long-Term Care Committee, which means that she is an incredibly powerful legislator, one that we need to um, learn to work with and be able to get legislation through in order to get it passed. Any relevant legislation to what we talk about has to go through her committee, and she is the chair. Um, and so while the commission has been spinning its wheels for basically the 3 years or 4 years that it's existed, the addition of a committee chair like Cleveland means that there may be a much more direct collaboration between the legislature and the commission. And for so long, we've been stuck in this merry-go-round where the commission directs us to the legislature and the legislature directs us to the commission. And I think the addition of Cleveland to the commission means that we may be able to see an increase in pace and a more direct collaboration between those two chambers. Um, and for folks who aren't aware, our own primary sponsor, Representative Lisa Parsley, who you can see standing next to Catherine in this photo, has also been added to the commission. Um, and so that means that we have one of our most powerful advocates in the legislature now sitting on the commission. I should have mentioned Cleveland is maybe technically, it's hard to get up to date information, but at the time of the roundtable was still pending appointment, but all information indicates that she will be appointed. Um, and we did write a press release on this, so you can see all of our press releases at wholewashington.org/press for some more information. Um, but long story short, this was a very successful meeting. We hope that it indicates a closer collaboration between all of us, whether we're talking about in the legislature, in the commission, or elsewhere. Um, and that kind of brings us to what came up next. So we've been talking for a long time about a joint committee work session. And this got asked to the commission directly. Would you help us get this work session? And the answer in the room was a little bit deflective. What Cleveland said was that she was open to it if we could be sure that everybody was on the same page about what the goals of the work session would be, what the
Hmm.
contents of it would be. Um, and we're happy to work with her on that. We certainly have ideas about what should be discussed in a work session like this. But then, not too much later at all, we got an invitation from Senator Hasagawa, who again is our primary sponsor in the Senate and one of our longest standing champions in the legislature. And we were invited to what was called a Universal Healthcare Stakeholder Meeting, which is happening next week on the 9th. So, one thing I want to point out is um, this is a very fast follow-up from the last kind of formal meeting we had with a sort of legislative commission body. Um, and so that to me is a very hopeful sign that so soon after the roundtable, we've been invited to another official meeting of the legislature. Um, Chairs Bernowski and Cleveland have both been invited. So in that sense, it bears that in common with the joint committee work session. And what I'll say is this is a first of its kind meeting for us. I have not necessarily heard of these kinds of stakeholder meetings. Whole Washington has certainly not attended one before. And as opposed to a committee work session or a commission meeting or a roundtable, those are meetings that are open to the public. And this is a meeting that is intended to be for a smaller and more intimate audience. I think of, something no more than 40 people. And I don't believe that the video is recorded and posted to the public. And so that's very interesting. Um, Something that was very clear at the roundtable was that one thing the legislature does not like is they do not like having public meetings with a lot of arguments and controversy, especially coming from the Republican caucus. Um, and so the invitation to a meeting like this to me indicates that we are actually starting to get invited into some of these more private conversations that may indicate, I think it indicates that we have built a lot of trust and that we are being uh, invited into more uh, more intimate decision making spaces. And so we will certainly be reporting on what comes out of this meeting and trying our best to make everyone feel included, even though it is not a public meeting. Um, but it's very exciting. It seems to be yet another indication that our advocacy is really working. And I'm very proud of everyone who's helped us get this far. So thank you, everybody. Um, and that kind of brings us to where we're forming so that we can keep this stuff going and we can keep the victories coming in. Um, we have, for a long time, had Riley Watts, been our main liaison to the Universal Healthcare Commission and has been there to provide support to people who want to leave public comments and written comments. But what we haven't really had is a team to organize our testimony to the commission, as well as the legislature. And increasingly, we're seeing the legislature and the commission as sort of two halves of um, one campaign to convince the sort of government of Washington state to do this. Um, and so we're hoping to form a team around this, and we've had our first meeting. So our first meeting was on the 27th. The video is also available on YouTube, so you can really see us break down what this team is, what the goals are, how we're planning on moving it forward. But for now, the next meeting is on the 16th. That's on the calendar, so you can RSVP to it. And we're going to be planning what our 2026 strategy is, how we're going to continue to build on the momentum that we've built in the 2025 session. And we are still recruiting leads for this team. So we need the team to have one or two people, probably in addition to Rally, who really help us make sure that we keep regular meetings on the calendar, to help us make sure that we keep on top of the deadlines and dates and agendas. But fingers crossed, we'll be able to get this team off the ground with a couple of leads. And we are also recruiting political coordinators in every legislative district. And that's something that if you're interested in, you can apply for now. And so that kind of brings us to another page. I didn't show it. Maybe I will in a minute. But if you go to wholewashington.org/jobs, this is another page that's been updated, and you'll see a number of new positions listed here. And so if any of this catches your attention, please feel encouraged to apply. Don't worry too much about the cover letter. Don't worry too much about your resume. Really, the goal here is to have you show what your interest is, apply, and then we can talk about all of that in an interview. So no pressure. It's okay to apply for something even if you're not sure. And our goal is to find a good role for everybody who's looking for one. And so these are a few of the ones that we have listed right now. And it would be incredibly exciting if we started to be able to get people into those positions. And my guess is that these will be filling soon. And some of these we may be recruiting just one person. Some of them we may be recruiting multiple. So you'll see on events coordinator, I said team likely coming soon. So we are hoping to build a sort of events coordination team to help support everybody out there trying to organize events, help make sure that it's got a good description and image and it's listed on the calendar properly and the Zoom link works. We're all trying to smooth that out. We're also, again, working to develop a stronger fundraising team. Um, this legislative team with coordinators taking on different roles, um, community coordinators at the county level, and then one that you see on here that we haven't talked about a lot, but campus organizers. And we're really hoping to build a presence on as many campuses as we can. And it's September and we're behind, which is why it didn't get its own slide with dates and stuff like that. But we are really hoping that it's back to school season, September and October, and that we will be tabling on a bunch of different campuses, hopefully with the help of some campus organizers. So keep your eyes open for updates on that stuff, and hopefully we'll be at a campus near you soon. So those are the updates for this month. Thank you, everyone, for letting me largely just talk through all of that. But I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording, and then we can have some questions and discussion. Thank you. Sorry, I'm looking. There we go. Stop recording.